This is the Renovation Roadmap Live. This is a live event which purpose is to help you to plan out your big renovation project, your home improvements, your house extension, your loft conversion, your garage conversion, your reconfiguration of the space, your big open plan, and knocking down the walls and all of that sort of stuff. This is to help you to plan out your project, to set the foundational guiding decisions in place, and to help you use those to make all the right choices for you throughout each stage of your project, so that you can be happy with the process and the progress that you're making, and happy at the end with the final result. That's what I want for you. My whole aim with this channel, with my work, the way that I work with my clients, is to help homeowners to have that freedom of choice, to feel in control, to be empowered, to get the results that you want in the way that you want. I know that's not very easy for you to do quite often because the information just isn't there. And that's what Renovation Roadmap Live is about. It gives you the resources, the tools, the planner to be able to make the right decisions for you and from the outset and throughout your project. This is part of the live event, and this week I have been going live at lunchtime every day, and that will continue through the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday this week. And I am answering questions related to the renovation roadmap process. So today's question is from Brett, and he's asked quite a lot of questions. What he said is, we have a bunch of things we want to do to our house. Some of them are already in progress. Some of them are longer term, bigger projects, including a reasonable size extension. But we need help to prioritize and manage these projects. And there are a list of things that they don't know and they want help to understand. So that's what I'm going to be addressing today. So the first thing is what to do and what to finish first. So that's it. This is a really interesting thing. What I recommend to do is to step back a little bit and figure out what it is that you're ultimately hoping to achieve with your project. So create a vision for the end result, the final, once you've done everything that you want to do to your home, what's that going to be delivering for you? What change is that going to make? And then I would tend to go for a holistic redesign to include that reasonable size extension and all the other alterations that need to be made to reach that final vision. So you're actually starting off with this, like a big picture view of what it is that you're ultimately aiming for. And then once you know what that final end result is going to be, then it's very easy to split that down into smaller stages, into different phases and different steps. And in terms of what you want to do and what you want to finish first, when you know what your end result is, then you can figure out, oh, what do we need? What's our priority right now? And it may be that it's your priority because that's going to have a bigger impact for you and it's going to fit within your current financial resources, like what you're able to spend right now. And so that's the one that's going to be giving you the best outcome for that financial input. So it depends how you want to prioritize it. This is where your priorities are very personal to you. Like, what's the most important thing to you is what's going to help you to prioritize it. There is also, I used to design school projects. And when you're designing school projects, then you have to often do what's known as enabling works, because you've got a live site. Generally, you're working with a live site, and it's very similar if you are living in your home and you are upgrading it at the same time and you're carrying out work to it at the same time. It's quite similar to a school project. So when you're designing a high school, for example, which I used to do, I would have to look at what's the end result, what's the final extended high school going to look like, how many classrooms do they ultimately need, how many additional sports facilities or science labs or whatever it is, CDT classrooms with all the specialist equipment. How much and how many of that do they need at the end? What have they got now? Where can we put that? And to be able to bridge that gap between where they are now, where they ultimately want to go, and the building work that needs to happen to make that happen, often it needs to be done in very restricted periods of time, like school holidays, when there are no children there. You can get some work done called enabling works that allows you to then, close off a part of the school, perhaps, get some work done very quickly through the school holidays, summer holidays, 6 weeks. You've got a short period of time to get that done. And then you can open up the school and the rest of the school can be operational while you separate off an area where you can then work and protect, the staff and the children's health and safety whilst construction work is going on. It's a similar thing for you when you're getting work done to your home. It's ideally you want to be able to have work done in discrete sections where it can have the least amount of impact on you in the rest of the house. If you're going to be able to move out, then that can, freeze you up in some ways. You can, but obviously there are costs involved in moving out and logistics, a lot more logistics for having to move out of your home. So it's not always something that, people want to do. But if you can do it, then that can really free you up and it can make it possible to get more disparate kind of things done without you having to live through that dust and disruption and mess. So that can be a really good approach if you're able to do that, if your financial situation allows you to do that, if logistically, in terms of being able to get to work and do, kids to school and all of those things, you're able to get somewhere in a location to stay at whilst that work's being done. So these are things to consider. But in terms of like what to do first, what to finish first, it's basically you're looking at the two things really, is how can you split the project up into sections that are going to, if you do work on that, it's not going to mean that, later on you come back and you're going to end up having to redo things. I quite often meet homeowners who have moved into their house, ripped out the old kitchen and replaced it with a brand new kitchen. And then it's 1 or 2 years down the line and they realize actually they want to extend, they want to do something else. And that's going to mean ripping out this pretty much brand new kitchen that they had installed. And they can be reluctant to do that, quite understandably. If they spent 20, 30 or more £1,000 on a new kitchen, is not something that, a year or so later you want to rip out. It is possible to, carefully remove a kitchen and reuse it again. It is an option to do that. But it's not always possible. And especially if you're going to be completely reconfiguring the whole space and you're going to have an entirely different type of kitchen, and what you have in your current kitchen is just not going to work in the new space, then that isn't possible. Usually there's something you can do, but often what a lot of homeowners do end up doing is they kind of rip out that kitchen, get rid of it, and then start again. And so I see that as really it's kind of a shame. It's a bit wasteful of our resources if we're just going to install a kitchen for a year or two and then get rid of it. I don't think that's very sort of sustainable thing to do from an environmental point of view. I think it's much better to be able to keep your kitchen for a longer period of time. And then obviously financially, that makes a lot more sense for you as well. So, and then the other thing is that sometimes you can get to work and then it has to be like, it just doesn't, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of an example right now, but maybe if you were to create an opening and put in a steel beam, and then and then maybe some like drainage is in the way or something like that. But these sorts of things can really cause a problem if you make it really more complicated and more expensive and take longer than it needs to. So that phasing of work, you need to think about it in terms of, what are your priorities? What do you need first? What's going to enhance your quality of life the most? Which pieces of work are going to fit your current budget, your current financial situation? And what practical, like a jigsaw puzzle, what can practically be done without having a negative knock-on effect on another future project that you want to do? For example, you want to extend, but you replace the roof, for example, first of all. Well, then when you come to extend, you're going to end up having to make alterations again to that new roof that you've recovered, perhaps, or newly insulated, and that then is ended up redoing work that you've already had done. And ideally, you don't want to duplicate work to the same element, because it just adds extra cost unnecessarily. So that's how I would approach, deciding what to do first. If you're going to be doing a kind of a piecemeal approach, decide what your ultimate end goal is and then split that down into stages. Or if you can, do it all in one go. The second question is, what can we do ourselves and what should we hire someone else to do? So this really depends on your skill set, the tools you have available to you, the time that you have available to you, and your finances. So those are sort of things like, are you able to do the work? Do you have them? Do you have the skills and the ability and the time available to you to do that work? If so, great, do it yourself if that's what you want to do. And if you don't have the skills and ability and you don't have the time to do it, then look at hiring somebody else to do it, and look at figuring out, financially, what can you comfortably afford, and then find somebody who's able to do it, do what you need within that financial, within your budget. I don't see any other real way. If you've got any ideas about how you would want to do that, I don't see any real way. Either you can do it yourself or you can't do it yourself. You know what you can do. And if you can't do it, then hire somebody to do it. Or just don't do it at all. Those are your options. There are some things, some pieces of work that you have to use somebody who is certified and qualified in it. For example, electricians, electrical work must be carried out by a certified electrician. So anything to do with gas has to be carried out by a gas safe registered engineer, or suitably qualified and competent and certified engineer. So for electrics and gas, you can't do it yourself unless you have that skill and that certification, that competency. So that's something to take care of. Asbestos removal, for example, is another thing. You cannot do it yourself. So there are some things that you cannot do yourself legally. So you need to make sure that any work that you are doing is something that you are competent to do, you're qualified to do. And this is for your benefit, your own health and safety, as well as, your children's and your families, any other subsequent tradespeople who come and work on your project, your visitors, your friends and family come over to visit. You want to make your home safe as possible for yourself and everybody you love. So don't take risks, basically. And you want to know when you need to get contractors, you need help to understand the process and find the right contractor. And you're not sure if you're going to need an engineer or an architect, etc. So when you have that big vision, that final vision of what you want, what you need, then you're going to know, like, if it's a redesign and a substantial, a reasonable sized extension that you've mentioned, then you're going to need to get, decent help. Now, there's no legal requirement to use an architect, but it is recommended. Obviously, I'm going to say that as an architect, it's best to use an architect, but there are studies that have been carried out that show that when an architect has been involved in the design, then property sells at a higher value and it sells at faster than property that has had no architect's input. So that's something to bear in mind. In terms of contractors, if the work is not something that you can do yourself, then you're going to need to hire someone who does have the skills, who is competent, able to do that work for you. I have a masterclass called Book Brilliant Builders, and you can buy that masterclass. That tells you, I take you through all of my best tips for how to find competent contractors, how to long list them, how to shortlist them, how to select the best ones for you, how to get competitive quotes from them, and how to protect yourself from risks and manage the process throughout the construction period. So I've put the link for that Book Brilliant Builders Masterclass in the chat. You can get hold of that. It was delivered as a live session, but it's now available as a recording, so you can get hold of that and discover all that you need to know. And in terms of fourth question in this, how to get any consent requirements. So they're basically pretty much two types of consent that you require. First of all, there's going to be planning permission. If you're building an extension, if you're altering the shape, the form, or the type of use of your building, then you're going to need planning permission, or make sure it complies with planning permission. So it depends on your situation which kind of planning permission you're going to require. Typically, for most homeowners, that is the homeowners application, the householder, I think it's called the householder's planning application, which is the most straightforward one. If it's listed, you might need a listed building consent, and there's conservation area and different things. There are a few variations of planning that you may need, but the basic one for most homeowners is the householder's planning application. Then you'll also need building control. Now, if you don't extend, you don't make any alterations externally, you're not changing the use of anything, then you may not need planning permission. But if you are making significant internal changes, including creating a new bathroom, making structural alterations, making a significant change to an external element like replacing the roof, all of these things do require building control approval. That's separate to planning permission. So planning permission and building control are two separate things. Here on my YouTube channel, you will find quite a lot of videos that I've created about planning consent, about building control, about what the difference is between the two, what you need to know. So go and check those out, because they will give you a lot of information about that. And to get those consents, it's an application process. So you need either yourself or to get somebody like myself, an architect, or somebody technical to put together drawings and information to be able to submit those for planning application, for a building control application. You can, as a householder, you can't for commercial work, but as a householder at the moment, you still can submit for building control on a notice, and that means that's usually dealt with by your contractors, and they will tell that they need to inform the local building control department or a private building control inspector, approved inspector, that work is starting, and then they will come and regularly inspect that work and check that it's been done. There is a risk that if you don't have plans approved, then the inspector may come to site and say, no, that's not being done correctly and you need to do it differently, and that can then have a knock-on effect for you. Work may need to be redone. It can cost you a lot more. It can take a lot longer to do it. So that's the risk of doing it on a notice, where you don't have that risk if you do it by submission of plans, full plans in advance. And you're also going to be able to use any information that you submit for a full plans building control application. You're going to be able to use those to get prices from your contractor, and then you'll be able to know that what you're paying for and what you're getting built is going to be approved. So that's the advantage of doing it that way. And then finally is managing external contractors. So the biggest thing is to have a contract in place. With anyone who's doing work on your property, on your house, have a contract in place. And the bigger the amount of work that's being done, the more important it is to have a clear contract that sets out exactly what work you're asking them to do, to what standards, and how much you're paying for it. Those are the minimums. Again, if you get the Book Brilliant Builders Masterclass, I go through what to look out for in contracts and different things to know about contracts. So that, again, you can get hold of that. And you also mentioned that you're not looking to get things done in a set period or to work faster because you've got a family and a hectic life. And I totally understand that. So this is where the Renovation Roadmap, the prioritization, what's the biggest priority for you? Is it the budget? Is it the timescale, or is it the quality that you're trying to achieve? Now, it sounds like timescale is not the most important thing to you, and that's fine. You get to choose what's your priority, and nobody else's business. It's yours. So if timescale is not your priority, that's fine. You can put that to the side. In that case, you're looking at, what's your budget or what's your quality requirements? What are you looking to achieve? So one of those is going to be your priority, and based on that, then you can make the decisions for what you do first, what you do yourself, how you go about getting consents, how you manage your contractors. All of these decisions will be determined. You can be guided by what your priority is, and in this case, it's not timescale. It's either cost or quality. So you can make the decisions based on those. In the Renovation Roadmap course, the mini course and the workbook, I explain which choices you have and how to make the right choices for you in line with whichever of those three is your priority and which is your secondary one that you're looking to protect as well. So you can define for yourself what your priority is and make the right choice at each stage. So that's it for today. I hope that this has been really helpful. There's 2 days left of Renovation Roadmap Live. You can still join and take part. It's about an hour to go through the mini course and have that workbook there. So you've still got a chance to do that if you're watching this today on Wednesday, the 31st of January 2024. You can still do that. I will be rerunning a Renovation Roadmap Live in the future. It may or may not be in the same format with a weekly a daily lunchtime live for a week. It may be a live, a video call, which is how I've done it previously. This is the first time I've done it in a way that, it's public. So if you want to join, you can join. If you join now, you'll get access to everything, and you'll get a reduced rate to book onto the following time that I do a live as well. So, and if you want to find out more about how you can book brilliant builders, then that is a masterclass that you can get access to immediately also. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for tomorrow's daily live Q&A. Bye for now.